This is something that appears to be happening more and more regularly. I was speaking to a defence correspondent about it a little while ago, and I was reminding him of the plane that I think Grant Shapps was on coming back from Poland, which was affected by it. Is this something that we should be expecting to happen more and more?
Well, I think we should be expecting it to happen, but I think we should also be taking measures to ensure that it doesn't happen. I mean, we're told that 46,000 commercial flights were affected by Russian jamming, jamming or spoofing. It's important to distinguish between the two things. Jamming means that no signals can go from the plane to the controllers.
Right.
Spoofing means the aircraft can be told it's in a place different from the place it's actually in. Of course, extremely dangerous.
Yes, of course.
And this is, the Russians are doing it. And the really big question, Mike, is are they doing it to simply annoy us, to try and disrupt the confidence we have with our airport controlling staff and our airline operators? I mean, Ryanair had over 2,000 flights disrupted by this. Or is there something more sinister going on? Is this the prelude to a more aggressive policy by Putin towards the Eastern European NATO members, particularly those along the Baltic?
Yes, well, particularly Finland, I suppose, comes as no surprise that they've been affected. It looks like Tartu Airport has been shut, and Estonia's right there as well. And I guess what you would say is that if you're travelling towards that part of Europe, that's where it's more likely to happen, right?
It is, but the Russians have also had a go from their stations in Syria at RAF Akrotiri in Cyprus.
Right.
So it's generally along Russia's western flank, our eastern border, as it were, with Russia, that there's a danger. And a lot of this in the Baltic area, of course, is coming from Kaliningrad, which is a very curious historical enclave taken by the Soviet Union in 1944-45 and kept by them. Kaliningrad used to be the old East Prussian city of Königsberg, and it is the only ice-free port that the Russians have on the Baltic. So they want to hang on to it, and they are very, very carefully protecting it. It's the most curious part. I don't know if you've ever been there, Mike.
No, I haven't.
It's an absolutely fascinating part of the world, that stretch of the Baltic. And a couple of years ago, I was on the Curonian Spit, and you tell people you were at the Curonian Spit, and they say, where's that?
Right.
Well, it's a very long land, piece of sandy land that the Russians used to have, but we got when the Berlin Wall came down. They retained the Kaliningrad enclave. They can only reach Russia via Belarus, where, of course, their chum Lukashenko is there. So it's great strategic importance. But in any threatening situation, in any gathering storm, what the Russians are doing now would be the prelude to a really dangerous offensive. So we've got to ensure the Russians in Kaliningrad are kept in their cage and they stop doing this.
And how do we manage to do that, though? How do we stop them doing it?
By counter-jamming.
Right.
By, give these people a taste of their own medicine. We're always on the back foot when it comes to Russia.
Right.
We won't do this and we won't do that. Well, show them what we can do. We don't want to have a kind of tit-for-tat battle. Absolutely not. But we have some of the best electronic warfare facilities in the United Kingdom, in Europe.
Right.
And we need to protect our people. And the fact that Grant Shapps, our defense secretary, in an RAF plane, so it wasn't a chartered plane, we thought it was an RAF plane, he too went off the radar when he was flying over this area. The consequences of losing Grant Shapps to Russian electronic warfare are scarcely calculable.
No.